Dan Mullen has his first pickup at UNLV as Jaylen Glover, who was at Utah the last few years. The guy originally from the state of Florida, was a 4-star recruit on the 247 composite coming out of high school, coming out of Lake Gibson, Florida. And this is a guy who, another opt-out for Utah in November, but someone who had over 1,000 yards in his career, wasn't really featured for Utah's offense this year. But taking a look at the film, which I'm going to pull up here in just a second, this is a guy who, he's got some ability, man. He's built like Doug Martin, man, the muscle hamster, if you remember him from Boise State and the Bucks. But I'm going to pull up the tape right here. As you can see, Jaylen posted these highlights a few days, not a few days ago, back in November when he announced his decision to transfer. But you see the balance, you see the toughness that he runs with. And Dan Mullen, we know his offensive mind, good piece for him right off the bat at UNLV.
Couple comments here, by the way. Like and subscribe to this podcast. If you're watching this show, we're giving you everything across the country, including the latest on UNLV, which we think is going to be an up-and-coming program. But Brandon's saying good pickup for Mullen, and Kane's Cat, he threw a 5 saying Mullen for sure knew him from his time in Florida. So I wanted to bring that up because Glover, you see him here on the west side of the country at Utah. He is, like you mentioned, from Lake Gibson, Florida, Lakeland. And those of you who know the Florida program, know the state of Florida, the Lakeland region. So Ray Lewis is from that area, not these high schools, but he's from that area. That is a huge, huge region in the state of Florida for football. While Ray Lewis went to Miami, a lot of these guys go to the University of Florida. So this is an area that Dan Mullen knew very, very, very well when he was at the University of Florida. He knows the kind of players that come out of this region. Is more in the north central part of the state, by the lakes. That's why they call it Lakeland. But Glover, somebody who played basketball, he had some decent speed. There you see the shape. Look at the athleticism there. You see him he ran about 11.2 in high school, so he had some speed. But you saw that shake as a pass catcher. When I think about Mullen at Florida, Kadarius Toney was one of his top weapons. He found a million ways to scheme up Kadarius Toney, get him in those one-on-one matchups, use his receiving ability, and allow him to make big plays despite not being a 220-pound bruiser. So, again, you see the moves that Glover shows. I'm not saying he's Kadarius Toney, but if you look at film, and I'm sure UNLV fans watching this, you guys are pouring into film of what Mullen did at Florida. Watch how he used Kadarius Toney, and you can see something similar with Glover and his quickness.
Yeah, the open field ability, the cuts, the jump cuts. And again, man, he's strong. He's running with power. He's not just an elusive guy. You saw him there in the practice clip, because look, there were some practice clips there, but there was a lot of game film. But one of those practice clips, man, he met a linebacker in the hole in pass pro, and you could see the thud that he holds in those pads as well. So good pickup, man. I mean, these are the types of guys that if you're Dan Mullen, it's you're finding value in a guy who was not really used at a Utah too much this year, but at the same time does have the experience at that level and does have really good film at this level as well. So excited to see Jaylen Glover in that offense, like you said, but good pickup here for the Rebels.
Yeah, by the way, Heart of Sports in the chat, he's saying 437 subs is insane for this pod. We just started last week, man, so appreciate your support jumping in the chat. If you're new to us, like and subscribe. We are talking about portal moves and recruiting, coaching, anything that's happening in college football every day. We're bringing it to you. You don't have to go anywhere else. You got a one-stop hub to learn about everything that's happening in football, both on this extended live show and in the shorter videos that we're putting out every day. So trying to make sure that the listeners to this show are the most educated college football fans on the planet, because they're seeing the team construction piece by piece by pieces. This is what you see on Saturday. It happens in the offseason with all of these different moves on the coaching staff, on the recruiting trail, of course, with the portal. And this is one I think is going to affect how UNLV looks next year. I'm very, very excited about this particular program. And I did the video when Mullen first came there. I think this can be a perennial playoff team. Mullen's going to take care of that quarterback position. I feel confident about it with the portal. He's just going to be able to bring in guys off of his reputation and get the most out of them. They just need players. There's better players in that region that there ever have been. Nevada's producing some really, really good players. Arizona, Utah's always got good guys. There's guys in that area that can play ball. And there's guys like this from Florida. Maybe they went to a West Coast school like Glover did, but he is somebody who fits right in, as going to bring that Florida athleticism to a UNLV program, and a coach in Dan Mullen that knows how to use it.